Welcome to Betting Weekly Premier League Show. You're with Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Tale of the tape, match day 1. 5 home wins, 3 draws, 2 away wins. Unders profitable across the board, whether it was under a half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. You got the lot. Both teams to score no as well. Top 3 in the futures betting, all won as well. So that was a nice little parlay. 6 favourites as well. And as I predicted, Forest looks set fair for another very good season. And Nigel, your takeaways from match day 1. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, it was a good week for draw bettors. Lots of draws, 3 draws, wasn't there? Like you say, 2 0-0s. A long time since a 0-0 in the Premier League at the opening day of the season. Again, though, but the top 2 teams look good, scoring 4 goals. Manchester City scored 4 goals for Liverpool, and obviously Arsenal not doing the best, but getting the win. So the 3 of them already. Chelsea dropping points at home to Crystal Palace is, I know it sounds crazy, but where the others going to drop points at home? They don't see the others dropping points like that. At the bottom, Brentford, terrible performance from them. West Ham, awful performance as well. But yes, under 2.5 goals, bettors would have cashed and draw. It was a few draws which surprised me as well.
Jack, did you spot anything from match day 1 that you're going to take into this round of fixtures, or are we staying away from any knee-jerk reactions?
Yes, good day to you both and to everyone watching and listening. Well, I wish I knew that information before last week, that's for certain, because I had a stinker, as was well documented.
Didn't want to mention it.
No, well, I've got to own these things. That's what sets us apart, of course. We are very transparent about those weeks, and it makes the good ones, like this one's going to be, all the better. So, look, no, I don't think you can get too much into knee-jerk reaction after match day 1. Is it a team was very good, or the team they were playing is very bad? We're going to find out over the next few weeks, of course, with that. But yeah, a few of the sides we expected to struggle certainly did, and as we've already said there, the top 2, Liverpool, Man City, scoring goals for fun and looked impressive. So yeah, we'll see what this week brings.
Let us know in the comments section what you're betting this weekend. Very pleased with the amount of people agreeing with my Forest take. Shout out to Scott and to Adam on the comments who were giving
2
me
new members to the fan club today.
The P&L, as Jack was suggesting, is on screen. We are not shying away from anything. It's a long season. Could be very long if we continue like this. I'm sure it won't
international
be.
break.
Let's get into the games. Friday night again, Nigel. We've got West Ham against Chelsea here. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. And Chelsea are minus money favourites, right about minus 157. Graham Potter got pelters last week for his side's display at Sunderland. He's now plus 225 to be the next manager to go. I mean, there's no doubt, Nigel, he's under pressure. Would you be betting him at that sort of price, or do you think price has gone? Just sort of brief thoughts on next manager to go and with regards, Graham Potter.
Well, before I come on to that, I did tell you last week to screenshot that 0 profit at the beginning of week 1, and you'll be able to refer back to that throughout the season. Graham Potter, I actually highlight Graham Potter as the first manager to go on the preview show, the Premier League preview show that we did on here. Well, I mean, there's a few of them, isn't there? I mean, we mentioned Keith Andrews at Brentford, the performance that he's got there. There's obviously player managers that have spent money that might backfire on them as well. We also got Parker, obviously at Burnley. They got beat 3-0. He could walk away. The Wolves manager's renowned for walking away from jobs as well. There's a few of them at the bottom. I mean, it's a market that I don't think you can really get too carried away with it. I mean, I think there was one year where the Santos, the Forest manager was Nuno, was the manager of Tottenham,
Spurs.
And they were top of the table, and then he was the first manager to go
right.
after 6 games. So anything happens. So just be very careful with that bet. With regards to this match, both sides have got to improve. Not just West Ham, Chelsea have got to improve as well. I was at the Stamford Bridge at the weekend in that match there, and Chelsea were really, really poor. Obviously, they were decimated by injuries, particularly in defensive positions, but they looked powder puff, really. Palace played a back 3, which I'll come on to Palace in a minute, but I've said so many times with Palace, they're so strong defensively, and there was nothing that Chelsea could do to break them down. I mean, the balls were going in the air, and they were just being easily soaked up by the Crystal Palace back 3. Cole Palmer was non-existent. They looked like they had a massive hiccup from the Club World Cup, but saying that, they're playing a West Ham side who are absolutely defensively dreadful in their defeat against Sunderland. Really, really poor. And obviously, Potter's up against a former club here in Chelsea. I think this is a tough one to call on the odds. I mean, I wouldn't be betting Chelsea at -155. I certainly wouldn't be betting West Ham at $4. West Ham, we have this kind of belief that West Ham, they're the happy hammers. They're West Ham going to West Ham, a difficult place. They get the crowd, get behind. They only won 5 matches last season at home. And those 5 matches were against Ipswich, Man United, Wolves, Fulham and Leicester. They didn't beat a team in the top half last season, West Ham, at home. And Chelsea beat them comfortably. I just couldn't back them. I just couldn't back both sides currently. There was a couple of... Chelsea had 19 shots the other day against Crystal Palace, couldn't score at home. But Cucurella played in a more advanced position. He cut in from the fullback and went into midfield quite a lot, and he was always available for a shot. I saw him to have a shot on target at +235. That was going to be one of my my picks, maybe one of my hot dog. But I think Cucurella could be a bet in that market. He's always profitable in that market as well. And I was leaning towards under 3 goals on the Asian handicap, +105. Both matches last year scored exactly 3. 3 goals is plus money, +105 here to be on the unders. And 3 goals is a push. Chelsea, headache after Club World Cup. West Ham, dreadful, but they will work on defensive frailties. They will be better at home in front of their crowd. They have to be, or Potter's a goner. So under 3 goals, Asian, a lean, +105. And Cucurella, shot on target, +235, a lean in this match. But on the money line, you got to be very brave to bet both of those prices.
It's a strange one as well, isn't it, Jack? Because Chelsea really drifted ahead of that game against Crystal Palace when we previewed the game on Thursday. I can't remember what price they were, but they drifted right up until kickoff. I mean, I don't know what you're predicting market-wise for this, and also give us a lean on this one. I know you've got no official play. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one to call as well because of both sides' underperformance expectations last week. Probably Chelsea more so. West Ham, we do expect to struggle, to be fair, and they certainly did. But going to Sunderland and getting soundly beaten, I watched that game as well, so I saw both games. And it's a tough one. I've actually got 2 picks in this because I'm also on this game in the Insider, which is coming out this weekend. So make sure you subscribe to that. And that's my player prop pick I've put forward for that. I've gone for another prop angle here because the mainline lines are pretty tough to call. Although I do like Nigel's pick there on Cucurella. I actually looked at him to score a header yesterday and he was +800. I don't know if that price is still the same or not, but he does drift into those kind of mid spaces. And although he's not the biggest, he does tend to get those curly locks on the end of a cross or two. So that's even
I know the feeling.
Price. I know, yeah, that's what happened, isn't it? So, too much of it.
That's right, it's gone. 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Bam. So my angle on this one for the show is corners, simple as that. So it's when in doubt with goals and with the main lines, go with one of the prop angles. So over 10.5 corners for me at +117 is my lean. 12 corners in that West Ham game at Sunderland, and they took 7 of them. There was 13 in the Chelsea game, and they had 11 against Palace. 50% of these respective home and away games last season saw this bet cash, so we're getting a little bit of value on that. And the last 3 meetings at London Stadium between the two sides saw 11 corners, 12 corners, and 11 last season. So kind of those metrics all add up to the fact that we could well cash this one again at plus money. So that's my lean here. But yeah, the other one is in the Insider.
Yeah, make sure you sign up to the newsletter. Jack was pointing out over 10.5 total corners, +117, around about that sort of price. City Spurs next up, which is the early game on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. City short price version. I mean, Nigel, City back in the old routine here. They've been punted into +275 for the title. Haaland's now minus money for the Golden Boot. It's time to party like it's 2023. We playing City on the handicap as you did last week to good effect. Same handicap, pretty much same price.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think it was a real negative towards Wolves this season rather than a massive positive for Manchester City. But anybody who watched that match last week would have been very, very impressed with Man City. Very, very impressive. Reinders in particular was absolutely exceptional. A great replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. Everyone thought they couldn't replace him, but they got a proper talent here. Obviously, Haaland back scoring goals, which is an ominous sign for anybody in the Premier League if this bloke's back to form. The angle for me with Man City last night, everyone was last week was everyone was betting them to win the Premier League, but they didn't move on the Champions League market, and they're almost double figures, 10-1. You know, this time last year they were the best team in the European football by a mile, and they were going into this like sort of 3-1, and now they're 3 times bigger, a more settled side. I think that they're going to have a proper season this year. Would I bet them at -230 to beat Tottenham? No, I wouldn't, because I expect a big improvement from Tottenham as well. Thomas Frank obviously coming in. They're going to be bitterly disappointed they didn't get Eze. He's obviously going to come on to Arsenal, which we'll come on to in a little bit of that. Dominic Solanke was injured at the weekend, but Richarlison come in and got 2 goals. So that's great for them. Big step up, though, isn't it? Tottenham at home to Burnley and them travelling to the Etihad. But they did win 4-0 last season here when they were going through a real bad slump. The thing here, I mean, the lines of the goals is an interesting one because this is an early kickoff on a Saturday. Traditionally, quite a low-scoring fixture. At the start of the season, it's something that nobody really wants to play, that early kickoff. Last week, we saw Aston Villa play Newcastle in a dire 0-0 draw that never looked like going overs. Tottenham lined up with a back 5 under Thomas Frank as well, so I think he's going to go exactly the same there. He won't be gun-ho like we did see last year with Ange in this fixture. I think it'll be much more defensive-minded. Back 5 without their top goal scorer. But the line here on the goals is 3.25. And it's like under 3.25 is minus 115. I think that's a very, very big line. Second game of the season when you're looking at 2 improving teams. The one thing about last week as well, there was a big negative towards Tottenham on the money line. Huge negative. They went from like almost minus 350 down to minus 185 just before kickoff. So that the market is probably unsure about Tottenham. The market is bang sure about Man City. They love them. They like what they see. I would expect to see Man City probably bet a little bit, but it's an early kickoff. Shock results do happen. No one likes that kickoff, and my lean here is under 3.25 goals. I think it's a very, very high line without any data. We're pricing this up purely and simply on Tottenham's form last year, thinking they're going to be attack-minded. We don't know what they're like on the road under Frank, but with 5 at the back, I think this might be a lot more low scoring than that 3.25 line suggests.
Unders for Nigel, overs sort of for Jack.
Yeah, I've gone on the angle of a quick start in this one, and yeah, that early kickoff does tend to put you off on that respect. So it is only a lean. I've gone for over 1.5 first half goals on the Asian total, which is plus 120. The plus money just caught my eye on it. I watched the City game as well. I was impressed with them. I think you couldn't fail to, but as I say at the top of the show, I said, is it a combination of the fact that City were very good and Wolves we expected to be poor, and they were very, very poor. And as soon as they conceded, they folded, didn't they? Really, to be fair, slight change of style with City's attack. I thought was interesting, a bit more direct. The direct running of Reinders as well was eye-catching. How he linked the play up, drove into the box. That assist for Haaland's second goal was impressive. Got obviously goal for himself as well. So he looks like he's found his feet straight away. Haaland 4-headed attempts at goal as well. So they're getting crosses into the box is something that he's probably been crying out for a couple of seasons. So beware. So the defences of the Premier League, if they're going to be looking to play to his strengths. So yeah, for me, I've gone with this due to a decent record really on these first half goals. When you look at it, there's been at least 2 first half goals in 10 of City's last 11 home league games. So a real trend on that side of it, not only scoring but conceding as well. And also in the last 4 meetings with Spurs and in 5 of the last 6, this bet is cashed. So at plus money, I'm taking a punt on that. So that's my lean for this one.
Good stuff. Yeah, I was just trying to look at the fantasy league that we've got going, Nigel. Didn't I play you last week? Didn't you beat me, even though I had Haaland? I ran into an informed Seeley very early on, even though I had Haaland as my captain. Let's get on to Burnley against Sunderland next. This is an interesting one, Nigel. You've got your 2-unit play in this one. Burnley were plus 120 to win this fixture last season. Obviously, it was a championship game this season. Now, Burnley have probably got worse. Sunderland have got better, but Burnley are still favourites. Sunderland might be tempting for some. How do you see it? You've got your 2U play coming up.
Well, I think Sunderland shocked everybody last week with their performance and how well they played and how quickly all the new signings gelled, which was a big, big positive for them. I think it's very different to do that on the road at Burnley. I think the fact it was the first game of the season that they played a very poor West Ham side and the crowd was absolutely pumped and full of it, and the weather was shining and Sunderland was euphoric. This is a test now. This is where the Premier League gets going for them. But obviously Burnley, on the flip side, they've got to start winning their home games. And, you saw what happened to Leeds. They've set the atmosphere and did really well, won their home games. Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland have got to win a large proportion of their home games if they want to stay in the Premier League. So this will be sort of a role reversal, really. Burnley had a free shot at Tottenham, got beat 3-0. Come here now, this season starts.
Bit more pressure on them.
No, yeah, this is it for them. This is where the season starts. And I'm looking at this one here, and I'm not, I'm not really someone who goes back through a lot of trends. But my first reaction when I saw this, straight away, under 2.5 goals. That's my first reaction. This has got to be an under 2.5 goals. First match of the season for Burnley at home. Sunderland side newly promoted. Both of them will probably take a point. Sunderland will be delighted with 4 points from 2 matches. Burnley gets a point here. It just looked like an under 2.5 goals or a one goal match. And then I looked at the data. Then I went back and looked at the data. And last time they met, last year of the Championship, it was a 0-0 draw. And Trafford saved 2 penalties in that match, actually. Same as Trafford. 8 of the last 11 matches between these two have all cashed under 2.5 goals. And 5 of those 11 have been 0-0 draws. So there was a 0-0 draw, Burnley, Sunderland in 2024-25. 2023, Burnley drew 0-0. And obviously, you go back, which is a little bit less relevance. But both of the times these sides have probably met in the Premier League, they've either been at the bottom of the table, or when they're at the Championship, they've both been challenging at the top end of the table. So they are important matches.
That's relevant form. I don't mind when head-to-heads like that, because you're looking at like versus like.
Yeah, it's never been a case where you've betted them and one team has improved tenfold and one team has been. There's no point in looking at like Luton against Manchester City, the head form. What they've changed in 10 years, 20 years is sensational. But these two sides are both at the top end of the market when they were playing the Championship, and the bottom end of the market. It just looked a 2-goal match. I think the fact that Sunderland have got a massive win at home, if they can come here and get a point, keep an unbeaten record of the season going, it just looked like a 2.5 goal. But then I looked at the price of 2.5, and the market is all over it. The market is very, very short. But I went down to 2 goals, just under 2 goals, and I just can't see many goals in this match. So I've gone under 2 goals in the match. It's a bit short. It's even money, but that trend of unders and that trend of 0-0s in this match just suggests to me that this is going to be a very, very low scoring game. And with the state of these two clubs, Burnley just want to get a point on the board, and Sunderland to extend an unbeaten record, which after 2 matches would be a dream for them. Under 2 goals, even money is my 2U play this week, Burnley v Sunderland.
Similar thoughts by the looks of things, Jack, for your place. Only a lean.
It is. Yeah, I've gone for both teams to score no for all those reasons. Don't expect there to be any goals in it. Looked at the under 2.5 and thought, that's a bit too short. And this is on the borderline, but I can take it for that and as a lean certainly. And I agree that Sunderland will snatch your hand off for a 0-0 now and get out of town. And 4 points on the board, unbeaten in the opening 2, and 3 points still the gap between them and Burnley. They'll take that as a relegation rival. I think the main thing here for me with this home form we talked about, and the fact that Leeds and Sunderland both got off to those winning starts, is their home fan base. 40,000 supporters in their grounds, really roaring them on, giving them that extra man, the cliche. Burnley don't have that. They're a much smaller ground and not such a vociferous atmosphere. And I reckon there'll be a big chunk of Sunderland fans at this one as well. So even things out a little bit. And I think that's going to be a large part of their downfall this season. The approach this time, I think Regis Rees will go into this pragmatic coach, look to keep it tight, look to take the sting out of Burnley of what there is, and then potentially play on the counter. Nigel's already pointed out the fixtures last season. It was 0-0 here. That was the 3rd time in the last 4 meetings here it was 0-0, and it was 1-0 at the Stadium of Light as well. So both teams to score no's, cashed in 6 the last 8 meetings across all venues in the league. And say Burnley failed to score last week, and I think that's going to be a common trend as we look through the season. They haven't got that potent striker. They haven't got massive amounts of creativity. They lost the top scorer from last season, and I think I do predict the season a struggle for them. As we said, expecting to finish bottom. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be very low scoring, and I don't think both teams will find the net here. So that's my lean, -130.
Bournemouth Wolves next up. Bournemouth minus money favourites. 139 here. A lot of bettors wondering how the Cherries will get on this season after losing most of their defence. They conceded 4 at Anfield, but they still have got that huge attacking threat. Jack, maybe should have got something from the game. They were -165 for this game last season. The -139 latest prices. You've got your 2U going here. We all lumping on the Cherries against Wolves, or is there a different angle in for your best bet of the weekend?
I do fancy Bournemouth to win. It was the one I earmarked really before prices come out. And again, as a fade of Wolves as much as anything, I do like Bournemouth going forward. But I said, when you've got 80% of your first choice defence from last season at other clubs now, you're always going to have a little bit of bedding in period and concede goals. Obviously, away at Liverpool is pretty much as hard as it gets. They did ship 4. They kind of didn't get going attacking-wise, really, until they went behind. But when they did get going, they looked very impressive. Semenyo in particular, of course. So I have gone in the end here with over 2.5 goals at -137. This is a week, actually, where I've probably got 6 plays that I like. And to try and find my favourite play of all of them was the hardest part. So I could have spread some units across more options. But I've gone with this in the end because I just think that both these defences are poor. Wolves in particular, and I think they do carry a bit of a threat in those forward areas. They kind of were in the game a bit against City, had that goal disallowed, and before City then went and scored, they were causing a couple of threats. Strand Larsen up top, if they can keep hold of him, he's been linked with a move away as well. Then they are reliant on him at this moment in time. But I say Bournemouth, I think, do look very exciting going forward. They've added more talent to that as well. Ben Doak coming in from Liverpool is a really nice pickup, really exciting winger, direct, loads and loads of pace. I saw him in the flesh last season and for Middlesbrough on loan, and I say he was a really exciting player, and unfortunately injury ruined his season, but I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League here. Talked about Semenyo already, and he could have a field day against Wolves, who look very vulnerable to anything with pace, any direct movement, and I think Bournemouth could potentially cover this 2.5 goals on their own. They don't have a great record against Wolves, which is kind of put off if you want to be backing them. But I say this Wolves side at the moment just look a side that is set for a struggle at this moment unless they completely change. He's asking for reinforcements. They need to get some in. If not, they're going to struggle. But they were the second best side for backing over 2.5 goals last season. 25 of their 38 games cashed for that. Average of 3.2 goals per game. 4th worst defence in the league. The only sides worse than them all got relegated. And I don't see any difference or any change with what I saw last week against City for that defensive process. So I think Bournemouth could clear it on their own, but I'm going with the over 2.5 goals with that question mark about both the defences.
Nigel, what you got in this one? I mean, Wolves are 2-1 to go down now after that City loss. A lot of people suggesting they would struggle. Should we be smashing into that plus 200, or is it a bit unfair on one performance? What's your thoughts, Bournemouth Wolves?
I mean, it really is like there's about 4 or 5 teams now who are just so far adrift from everyone at this moment in time, and Wolves are one of those sides. But obviously, I highlighted last week that you never bet Wolves in the month of August, and that is the case. Now, only one winning 21 matches since they returned to the Premier League in the month of August. And unfortunately for them, this match is in the month of August. Trouble is, would I bet Bournemouth at -139? I know they were shorter than that, but -139 against a team that lost all their defenders. I think Liverpool are going to give you chances and make a lot of teams look good. I would judge Bournemouth more on this performance than scoring 2 goals against Liverpool, because I think Liverpool matches concede a lot of goals against everybody. I'd even give West Ham a chance of scoring against them, or Burnley a chance of scoring against them. So I think there's going to be goals in their matches. This one here, though, clearly they miss Cunha. I mean, he's such an influential player for them. The goals, the creativity they take out of that squad. Strand Larsen, as Jack said, is linked to the move to Newcastle. That's not going to settle them very well. They need to bring players in rather than get rid of players. Bournemouth, may have been lulled into a false sense of security. That's my concern about them. I mean, Liverpool were cruising at 2-0. They had a terrible 10 minutes, and then there was 2-2. It was game on, and then they put them to bed when they got it right again to make it 4-2. Have we got slightly, over-egged by the Bournemouth performance? That's my worry. I think it's after one game, it's quite hard to find out. But again, Jack's right. I was looking at Bournemouth minus 0.75, which was the way to get with on the Asian handicap, which was just under even money. But they've never beaten Wolves. Bournemouth have never beaten Wolves since they've returned to the Premier League. And that is something that does concern me. There is obviously the caveat to that, is that obviously Gary O'Neill was the manager at Wolves for a few of those matches, and he was a former Bournemouth manager, and he was very, very. He felt this dismissal was unfair,
for him, wasn't it?
Yeah. So there was that impetus in it as well, an extra sort of spice. But it's very, very tentative lean for Bournemouth minus 0.75. But I just got a slightly feeling that we've got a little bit too carried around Bournemouth on the back of 2 goals at the Anfield.
This can happen at the start of the season. We make snap judgments. We can get it wrong, but I think Nigel's right. With Liverpool are going to lure you into a false sense of security, thinking, oh yeah, this team can create against Liverpool. I think a lot will. We'll get to Liverpool later, of course. Last game on for this match day. Brentford Villa next. Again, Jack's got an official play in this one. Villa plus 112. Brentford A 2-1 that go down. They're plus 225 to win this game. We're not quite sure what's happening with Johan Wissa. He's probably going to go, isn't he? He didn't play last week. But there's still that belief maybe that Matthew Benham can pull a rabbit out of the hat with Brentford, and they might not be as bad as we think they're going to be. How are we tackling this one? And this, of course, Jack, off the back of Villa letting us down last week.
I was going to say, they never let us down, do they? Well, they did last week, completely, yeah. So, do you know what? If they'd have done a half-decent performance last week, this would have been my 2-unit play without a shadow of a doubt. I've downgraded to a 1-unit play. Villa to win at plus money against this Brentford side. I just had to take it. They were terrible last week.
I am. He's gone in again. Trust him.
Me and the Villa boys. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. I am giving them a second chance. Yeah, they were terrible last week. We talked about it on the live show on Saturday afternoon while it was in play. The red card obviously didn't help, but they were absolutely terrible in that first half. A little bit better in the second initially until the red card, and then it was game over. Nothing. Probably the worst performance across the whole division last week. But I'm just going to put it down as a bad day at the office. I'm still strong on Villa. I still like so much about them. The manager, the attacking talent. Their defence obviously will be missing Konza this week. Martinez back. Will be interesting to see who gets the pick for that one in goal. But I don't think they're going to need too much of a good defence against the Brentford side that scored against Forest last week, but when the game was dead and from the penalty spot. So not much else to like about them after that. And I think all the fears about Brentford were founded last week. Crashed to that 3-0 at half-time against Nottingham Forest. Just Keith Andrews is massively out of his depth at this very early stage. He's talking like, we were so bad, and everything negative you expected from Brentford landed last week. Villa got a good record against them. They're unbeaten in the last 6 head-to-head meetings between the two sides. Won 4 of those as well. They've scored in all 8 meetings between the two sides in the Premier League. And if they extend that, I think a goal could well be enough in this one. But I do expect them to score more than that. Ollie Watkins has got a great record against Brentford, of course, his former club, and he seems to raise a level or two when he's playing against them. The Brentford fans give him a bit of stick, and he answers by sticking it in the back of the net. So, for me, this is kind of a bit of a meeting of two. The fact that I really want to fade Brentford as much as I can in the early part of the season. It just seems complete disarray there. It seems as if they've kind of given up the ghost, selling all their best players, bringing the manager in that they brought in as if to say, well, look, we're just going to put this guy in here as a bit of a scapegoat. And look, let's not forget 2 seasons ago, Villa went to Newcastle and got stuffed 5-1. They bounced back the following week with a 4-0 beating of Everton. Obviously, reverse roles as far as home and away, but I can see a similar comeback here. I'm sure Emery's going to get right into them and say, look, go and show the true version of yourselves, and I'm going to back them to do that. Put it down as a bad day at the office. Villa at plus money, I had to take against Brentford.
10 games in, Nigel, and Jack's still going to be backing Villa. It'll be about 16-1 to every game. It'll be bottom of the league.
Well, the game was up from when I saw our previews on the Instagram account, and Simon Oldham tipped them up to win the Premier League. I knew that was them finished. That was them done. That was them all over.
Oh dear. Sunk cost fallacy. Have a look at that, bettors. You'll see what that means. Nigel, what do you think here? Are you playing Villa? I mean, we're laughing there, but Brentford. The jury's massively out for me.
Well, I think we're going to see an upgrade on both performances from last week. I don't think Brentford can be as bad as they did in that first half against Nottingham Forest. I don't think that they will be that bad. And I don't think Aston Villa will be as bad as they did in that entire match. Villa looked tired. They looked leggy. They looked out. There was something wrong with Villa. It didn't look right. I don't know what it was. Maybe the transfer of Ramsey to Newcastle has affected him slightly. I mean, there was a lot of praise coming out from players' tweets and the way he left. And, they didn't, John McGinn said something that very creditable to him, that he had no option to leave, and good luck to him in his future. So maybe there was something that transfer, might be some settlement behind the scenes, because that was a very, very un-Villa-like performance. So I think both of them are going to improve. Villa, the kind of price is a tempting one, but I'm going to go for Watkins to score any time at plus 125. That was very close to being one of my official plays here. It's his second. He's got 6 goals against his former club. It's his second best record against any other team in the Premier League. He, the only team who scored more goals than Brighton. He scored in both games last season in this match when they met in this fixture, and he scored in both games the season before as well. Villa need him. He is their main striker this season. He was in flying form in pre-season. didn't really have any service whatsoever. And in an improved Villa performance, I'm going to go for Ollie Watkins here at plus 125. And Mr. Roebuck, I'm coming for you in the fantasy with Ollie Watkins. If he scores a couple here, you're bang in trouble.
I don't know. I mean, we've got a couple of leagues, haven't we? One you put out for everyone, and then there's a little head-to-head as well that we're doing. But I thought I did all right, but I noticed that you did very well. I've not got Watkins in my team. Arsenal versus Leeds. Arsenal versus, I might have by the weekend. Arsenal versus Leeds next. We've got Nigel's one unit play here. Arsenal very short. Leeds nearly 10-1 here. A lot of negativity around the Arsenal performance at Old Trafford, but as you mentioned right at the top of the show, Nigel, they still managed to win, and they were bet from plus money to minus money just before kickoff. So there was good money here, but obviously they're expected to win against Leeds. And it's weird, isn't it? Because off the back of a bit of negativity and some Arsenal fans complaining, it looks like Everezi is going to rock up at Emirates, and that'll be a huge shot in the arm for Arsenal fans, I would have thought. How are we tackling this one?
Well, first of all, with Eze, I think it's a great signing for Arsenal. I mean, I think he's going to get so much service. He's going to get time on the ball. Every match, people will back off him and he'll be able to play. It's when he's at Crystal Palace and he's on, people are on him, he isn't allowed to show his skills. This is a showcase for the kid to go on to bigger and better things. I think he's going to be a brilliant signing for Arsenal. And it's great for QPR because we get 15% of the transfer fees. We've got 9 million. So that's handy. Party time at Loftus Road. Woo! Okay, we've got Arsenal were really poor last week, though, weren't they? I mean, Man United should have won that match. It was a very good performance from Manchester United. Bad day at the office for Arsenal, but they won, and that's the difference between this Arsenal side and Arsenal sides of previous years. They play well, don't get the points, or play badly and get punished. They play badly at a tough place, Old Trafford, and they got the win. So that shows that Arsenal can dig in here. Again, brilliant defensive performance from Arsenal. Goalkeeper was probably the best in the Premier League at this moment in time. The centre-half partnership was the best in the Premier League for the last couple of seasons. And we know that Arsenal keep one of the best teams in the league for clean sheets, not conceding goals, got the best defensive record last couple of seasons, and I think that will continue here. Again, Leeds is all about what they do at home. They have to make Ellen Road rocking, like Sunderland are doing at the stadium, like Sunderland do at the Stadium of Light. That is where they're going to stay in the Premier League. They're not going to stay in the Premier League by going to Arsenal and going toe to toe with them. And I also think there's a lot of teams who come up in the Premier League who pretty much write these matches off. When they go up there, like Leeds, and they go and Sunderland, they think, okay, we're going to go to Man City. We're going to go to Arsenal. We're going to lose. It's good competitive. See what we keep ourselves in, and then what we'll do is we'll go all at it the following week when we're at home to a team in and around us at the bottom of the table, and that's where they got to win the games. I think Arsenal will win this quite comfortably. Will Eze play, Dan? Will he play?
I don't know. It all depends. Has he actually signed? I mean, we're recording this on Thursday morning.
He's signed.
If he's signed, he will be available. There's obviously a cut-off time about when you can register your player for a weekend game. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I would have thought if he signed Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I would have thought he'd be in the squad.
They booked the medical for today, so yeah, that, I think it's like is it a midday on Friday or something like that?
I know.
So I think they'll get it in.
I see no reason. I mean, Havertz has got a knee injury, so I mean, I would have thought it'd go straight into the squad. I mean, there can't be an issue with match fitness. I mean, I'd be very surprised if he started, but
he obviously, well, that's going to be a big plus for Arsenal. The Emirates will be rocking. I'll be there. You'll be there, Dan. After Ben and Weekly live on Saturday, we're both rushing off to the Emirates to do this game, watch this game. But I'm going to go for Arsenal to win 2-0. That's my bet. Even money. I think Arsenal win it, and I think they'll keep a clean sheet again because they do that all the time at the Emirates. And I just think Leeds is all about their home form, and on the road they're going to come a cropper. But Arsenal have won this fixture, scored a few goals. They have conceded this fixture in the recent last couple of times they played. But I think this time around, this defence they have, which is their strongest part of their team, now with the recruitment of Eze as well, gives them that extra factor. Much better bet than betting them with a very, very short price on the money line. At even money, one you pick Arsenal to win 2-0 against Leeds.
Jack, you are of a similar persuasion with your lean here.
Exactly the same, and it was very, very close to being my one unit play as well. But it's just a lean. But for all the exact same reasons that Nigel's just outlined, a couple of stats that just to underline it as such. The record Arsenal with Leeds is, as you would expect, to be very, very good. 14 head-to-heads. The last 14 head-to-heads, they've won 12 of them. 10 of the last 12 at the Emirates as well. And as far as their performances against newly promoted sides, just to highlight this chasm that is between the second tier and the Premier League in England. Arsenal are unbeaten in the last 42 Premier League games against newly promoted sides at home, and they've won 37 of those as well. So look, I think that defensive process on top of that, highlights that this should well be an Arsenal win to 0. So that was my lean.
Everton versus Brighton. We go to first of the Sunday games here. Everton plus 195, Brighton plus 140. Nigel's hot dog coming your way. This was Everton's first home game of last season. They got beat 3-0. Toffee's pretty much the same price to beat Brighton, but the big difference, as we all know, this fixture is not at Goodison Park, Nigel, but at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. How much of a factor is that in Everton's favour or in the opposition favour? What are your thoughts? What's your dog?
Well, I mean, I'm going to steal a bit of your thunder here because I saw your notes, and I actually done this already in my argument. You put the first EPL game at a new stadium, so you might as well, I'm not going to steal your stat.
No, you can have them, mate.
Well, I did it. I actually spent, if I'd known you were doing it, I wouldn't have spent 25 minutes doing it myself. That's the only thing that's annoyed me. I think, why didn't you tell me that earlier? But I've actually gone one better than you. Anyway, looked at the new stadiums since teams have gone into the Premier. Man City drew 1-1 in their very first game. Arsenal drew 1-1 in their very first game. West Ham won 1-0. Spurs won 2-0. But you've missed one out. Brentford in the GTEC.
Oh, I didn't miss that one.
They drew 1-1 as well. So none of those 5 teams in their new stadiums have ever lost their opening match, which interests me. And 3 of them have been draws. It's going to take a bit of time for everybody to get involved in the new stadium. The players, the staff, the fans, and the opposing team as well, because the opposing team would have played Goodison Park many times. They'll get used to an atmosphere. You talk to football players, they know grounds they like to go to, grounds they do not like to go to. The difference of the pitches, they know everything about the clubs they go to, and I think this is a bit real leveler because nobody really knows what to expect. I think even when England played their first new game at the new Wembley, I think they struggled. I think it was a draw. I can't remember off memory, but you might be able to find that out. But I got a feeling here this won't be anywhere near like the 3-0 defeat last season. And Brighton, we know that they were cruising last week. 1-0, then last minute goal, 1-1. Everton really, really poor against Leeds, but I can forgive them that performance because this is probably on their mind coming here. And there'll be a much more attack mind in this match. Grealish didn't start. I think Grealish will start in this match. They've got to change up a little bit. And I'm going to go for the draw as my hot dog at plus 235. Obviously, on the hot dog, we've got to go for something bigger than 2-1. I did very close to that Cucurella to have a shot on target in the match in the Chelsea-West Ham game. But just given that so many stats here and teams very, very, very rarely, more than virtually ever, get beaten in their first match in their new stadium, I want to take on Brighton here at a low price. And I think that Everton, with the crowd behind them, pumped up crowd, party atmosphere, new stadium, do not get beat. So I'm not thinking Everton have got enough about them to win. I'm going to go for the draw at plus 235.
Jack, what do you think? What's your thoughts here? I mean, as Nigel rightly points out, the teams don't tend to get beat, but there is a little bit of a downgrade over the course of the season. City, Arsenal, West Ham, Tottenham, I didn't do Brentford. They all had drop-offs over the course of the season. Not the first game, but just a little bit of drop-off in terms of points per game than the previous campaign. How are you assessing this one?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it does go because Goodison Park was such a strong part of what Everton have done over the last few seasons and kind of been the difference maker between them really getting in that relegation zone and staying up. So they do need to make sure that this new stadium, they do get points there. So very interesting to see how that one pans out. The crowd are obviously going to be up for it. Nigel said last week that unlike a lot of the other clubs like West Ham fans and say a few other sides that they didn't want to leave their home, their old home, Everton fans seems ready to go to this brand new stadium. So certainly got a wow factor about it. I've kind of steered clear of all the main lines. I've gone prop angle again, and I've gone for Brighton to win most corners in this one at minus 113. And there's some decent stats about it. So I say Everton lost the corner count 8 of the last 9 home games, and that was obviously at Goodison. So you'd expect them to be a bit more kind of up and at them there at that ground. And Brighton have won 6 of the last 7 on the road. They met at Goodison Park pretty much exactly a year ago. I think it was the 17th of August where they met there. And Brighton won the corner count that day 5-1. And they won the reverse fixture at the Amex in Brighton in January 9-1. So a good record on that as far as that's concerned. I say it'll be interesting how the game pans out and how they both adapt to the new stadium. But for me, I've gone just down that corners angle because it's got a decent amount of trend with it.
Just one thing. Just one thing. I just gone back. I'm just telling them while we're in the break. The first England match in the new Wembley was a 1-1 draw. Was a 1-1 draw. Another draw. And the first match at the King Power, where Leicester, I went back there and looked at the most, that was a draw as well, 2-2.
Oh,
Could be on something here with the draw.
Game on. Yeah.
Well, excellent. Let's get on the draw. Maybe get on as well. Don't I? Palace Forest, Nigel. Obviously, Ez has gone to Arsenal. Still speculation about Gurhi. You were at the Stamford Bridge, and you referenced it before. I mean, Chelsea weren't great. Palace had that goal disallowed. And Palace coming into this off of the back of a European game, which is something I never thought I'd say. And then you've got this whole sort of Palace-Forest situation about the European issue and which competitions they're in. There's a lot of narrative sort of mixed in here, isn't it?
There is. Eze's obviously gone from Palace and he's been replaced by Eze. He'll probably be the other Eze will play this match as well, I would have thought, instead of Eze. Palace are very good at business. When they do business, they always have a replacement lined up. And, they he's a big blow, but their recruitment is exceptional. So they'll have someone in mind, and the Eze might even play in this match as well. The one thing about Palace is, I've said it last season in the show, their back three is probably one of the most underrated defensive units in the Premier League. Glasner has them set up, but there's clearly some kind of problem there, obviously, because Gaya didn't speak to the boss. He obviously may want to leave to go to Liverpool, but Lacroix is a proper player. The whole three unit will work together. The goalkeeper's strong as well. So Crystal Palace's strength is their defensive strength, but usually their strength is better on the road, where they can soak up the pressure and hit on the counter attack. When they're at home, when they've got to be on the front foot a little bit, they're not so good. This match here, though, is an interesting one because I think Chris Wood, he's the kind of player that Palace would love to play against. They're just so, they'll get done by Salah, they get done by pace, they get done with players on the ball, can take them on. But a big unit like that, I think that they will be okay with him. The interesting thing here, though, is that the stats in this match are pretty incredible since they've been in the Premier League. They've had 6 matches in the Premier League, and every single one of them has been under 2.5 goals, and 4 of them have been draws. And in the last 8 matches between them, so if you take in the last couple of times they met in the Championship, there's been 6 draws between these sides in the last 8. So it's notoriously and traditionally a very, very low-scoring game. And given the extra spice in this fixture and the way that Crystal Palace set themselves up against Chelsea, a very good Chelsea side, they could be playing now and Chelsea wouldn't have scored in that match. Mm-hmm. Forest, on the other hand, again, they played a very, very poor Brentford team. Don't get too carried away. I still think your tip on them to get relegated is rubbish, but I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be back in the position they were last year. And I think that you'll judge Forest a little bit more on this performance. But again, I like the under again. Under 2.5 goals is -142. I think this is a close call. But under 2 on the Asian handicap with 2 pushes +125. Another bet that I was tempted to put in, and probably a bet that I will be betting today. I might do a under 2.5 double actually. Palace against Forest. And in my 2U match with Burnley and Sunderland, I think that'd be a good little parlay.
You've got to lean for us here as well. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? They're talking about upping the security, Jack, for this one because of the situation with the chairman and what happened with all the, the switching of the European competitions. It should have been Forest playing on Thursday night rather than Palace. I'm not reading too much into that. Should we be? Is it going to affect the way that they play? Do you think, or is it just an aside that bettors should not get involved in?
Is that security in the director's box in the tea room at half time as well?
I
think it could be a bit feisty up there. I think as well. So it should be a feisty game, as you rightly say. This, we're talking about Palace having that extra game playing Fredrikstad tonight. It should have been Forest. Simple as that.
Fredrikstad.
That's Fredrikstad. Yeah, I can't remember his name. Steve, I think it was. But yeah, I think so. This should be a proper feisty encounter, but Palace having an extra game, it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup they put out tonight. But I imagine it will be relatively strong. They've got wiggle room, have they? Eze with that medical likely won't feature, of course. But the uncertainty around Gay and also around Wharton to a certain extent as well. So a real kind of air of uncertainty around Palace a minute, but did kind of brushed it off last week when it got down to business and were very impressive. So that defensive unit, very, very strong. And yes, Forest were impressive against Brentford. And again, at the top of the show, we said, is it a side being very good or a side being very bad that they're playing against? And I think possibly a mixture of the two. What I liked about Forest is they did mix up a little bit, not quite so direct, not quite scoring only on transitions. They had a bit of a different goal set piece, a transition goal, and then like a normal attack goal. So Yeah, lots like about that. Also brought in Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich, which is a good sign, and James McAtee from Manchester City. So more exciting young talent going into that side and those forward areas. So that's exciting for them to see. They wanted a couple of new players. They got them there. So, and I obviously mentioned it last week, Wood can't sustain that prolific goal scoring record, and the fact that every time
I said that last week, and he got 2.
He was in my fantasy team as well last week. That's why you
yes,
got beat.
we know. Once you lose interest is when it kicks in, that one, I think. But 2 shots on target, 2 goals. What more can you ask for? So I've caved to the pressure that the Nottingham Forest fans brought, the heat they brought to the YouTube channel chat last week, and coming at us hard. So I'm now on their side. I've jumped ship. Nottingham Forest plus quarter goal Asian handicap for me. I think it will be very tight. I think it will be very low scoring. So basically, Forest avoid defeat in this one, and we cash at least part of the ticket. If they win, of course, we would cash it all. It's minus 125, and a history of unders, but also a very strong record against Palace. Palace last beat Forest in 2011. That's 10 games ago. 2 wins for Forest, 4 ties since then, since the return to the Premier League as well. And Forest were unbeaten in the last 8 visits to Selhurst Park as well. Their last defeat was on the 13th of December, 2003. And it's not been done so far on this show.
Oh, right.
Oh, hello.
There we go.
Hello.
Nigel's
Christmas
on
number
Google,
1,
so
2000. Christmas number 1, 2003.
2003, December the 13th, just before Christmas.
Oh,
who was number 1?
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls.
No, I don't think it was. Not in the UK. You might have to leave
Hey
right
Ya
now
by
for getting that
Outcast.
wrong.
Hey Ya by Outcast.
I think you might find it was Will Young who was number 1.
Will Young.
I think I better leave
Yeah,
right
so
now.
you-
See you later,
you
Jack.
leave
Take
right
care, mate.
You know what?
I already
moved on.
cracked that
I honestly
joke
thought
while
we'd
you were
moved
Googling, Nigel, so come on.
yeah. Very quickly on this one, we've only got leans. Fulham United, Nigel, very quickly. What do you think? United just a little bit bigger than even money. What do you think?
I think Man United will be bet. I think they're going to be a big move this weekend. I think the bettors like what they see. They were an unlucky team of the weekend. I thought not to get anything from the match against Arsenal. That's what the large syndicates like. That's what the big bettors like. When they look at teams that create lots of chances, look really good, but don't get the results, that's when they like to get involved. I would expect Man United to probably start this match at minus money. Got a brilliant record here as well. Excellent. Won their last 8 at Fulham. Really, really good record. And they've been in sort of bad, they were in some bad form in those matches as well, but they seem to raise their game against them. This Man United side looks good going forward. Obviously, there's a quick question mark about the goalkeeper and defensively, but if they can get something out of Sesko and he can turn out to be a striker, then I think you've got something positive to look ahead for Manchester United fans. Only 4 wins away from home last season. Now, that's the big problem for them, but one of them was here. I think Man United will win this. Plus 115 is currently the price with Bet Rivers. I think if you take that, you'll be onto a good thing because I expect that to move as the kickoff comes.
You will beat the closing line. I think Nigel's right. Jack, quickly, what you got?
Same theme, really. Over 1.5 total goals for Man United at minus 104. Thought Fulham were poor versus Brighton. Kind of snatched a point at the end. Brighton added on time, didn't they? And conceded lots of chances. That Brighton XG was 1.6. We've heard that theme before with Brighton, haven't we? Can Man United take them? That's the question. We saw some real shoots of recovery from those forward players that they brought in. And Fulham concede goals at home. They've conceded 2 or more in each of the last 4 league games at Craven Cottage and in 7 of the last 10. And so Man United did look bright. Mbomo, Cunha, and also Sesko when he came off the bench as well. So I think that they will be able to win the game and probably score a couple of goals in the process. So yeah, minus 104, my lean.
Over 1.5 total goals by United. Big game of the weekend. It's on Monday. Newcastle, Liverpool, 3 p.m. Eastern here. A lot of talking points, Nigel, with this one. We've got Jack's hot dog. But I'll come to Nigel first before we get Jack's hot dog. I mean, Liverpool even money. All the chat is going to be about Alexander Isak. He's not going to play for either side for this game. That's almost for sure. But I mean, this is ramped up into a massive game from zero, really, a month or so ago. I mean, this is mad, really. We're playing Liverpool at even money. Newcastle, I mean, St James's Park will be rocking for this one, plus 240. Draw just a little bit shorter than 3.
Well, however bad Newcastle's we expected to be, I thought they played really well against Aston Villa.
They did play well.
If they had Isak in the side, they would have won 2-0. That's the difference. Every time they put the ball in the box or for an outlet up top, there was nothing there, and that's what cost them the match. But defensively, great. Midfield was exceptional, overran a very good Aston Villa side. And there'd be positives to take from Newcastle fans going into this match here. If you're looking at this odds now, and I'm talking about Man United at plus 115 to win at Fulham, and Liverpool at even money to win at Newcastle. There's, Man United at plus 115 is a much better bet here. I just worry about Newcastle without that goal outlet. I mean, that is the big problem for them. But they are playing Liverpool, who give you a chance. I mean, he conceded 2 against Palace, 2 against Burnley. The other reason I think there's a negative for Liverpool as well, amazingly, I don't know if you know, last season they only won twice at top half teams in the Premier League. Only 2 wins against top half. So many draws, and they conceded an awful lot of goals. 3-3 against Newcastle, 2-2 Arsenal, 3-2 against Brighton, 2-2 against Villa. So you can see why both teams score. Yes, it's minus 205 here, but without that Isak threat. He scored from at Wembley in the League Cup last season, the win he scored in the 3-3 draw, that brilliant goal in that match. You take his goals, and he scored the season before as well. You take them goals away, I just don't see where they have a goal threat.
Gordon didn't look a centre forward, does he, Nigel? When we were watching the game late, he missed chances. He's not the most natural as centre forward.
But he's scored in the last 2 matches against Liverpool, and he obviously.
But he's very good against Liverpool.
Yeah, but he scored in the last 2 matches. But I think if he plays in that attacking position, if you think he plays in that attacking position, he is their main threat. He'd probably be on pens as well, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he be on pens, Gordon?
No, I think somebody else would be on pens.
Who did?
I don't know.
I think someone else will be on pens. No, I think he might be on pens. But anyway, he scored.
Last time I looked at pens, I got pelters from you for saying all these won't be on pens. Anyway, go on.
I just thought Gordon, anytime goal scorer plus 240 could be a bet, especially when you just turned around and said he looked out of place there and he's not on pens. I guarantee you now that it will be 2-2. It will be 2-2 draw, and Gordon will score 2 pens. That's my bet.
Isak was hello, here we go. Anthony Gordon will be on pens. Last season he took 2 in the Premier League and he scored
2. I think he scored in the pen in this match against Liverpool. I think he scored. I know.
Okay. My research only stretches to 1 from 2. Jack, you have got your hot dog. So big bet, biggest price bet of the weekend comes in the final game. You've got the final say on the weekend action. What you got for us?
Yeah, Harvey Barnes, I've gone with one of the other guys up top there to score or assist at plus 230. Took this based a little bit on price. They did come out hot against Villa. That front three did look effective, although struggled to score, of course, with Gordon through the middle. I'd expect them to get another chance here. There is a chance that Murphy might come in, but if he does so, probably for Elanga out on that right-hand side. So looking to play one of these guys, as I said, and I wanted to get the assist and the goal on side. So I say it was plus 230 for Barnes, plus 175 for Elanga, plus 165 for Gordon in that market. So obviously for hitting the hot dog criteria, it had to be Harvey Barnes. And then digging into the detail, it actually stands up pretty well, putting the joint most amount of crosses for Newcastle last week with 5. But the most successful of their 6 successful crosses, he contributed 3 of those, creating a big chance with one of them as well. And he said he created the most chances. If you look for that on stats as well, it could be classified as key passes. But 4 chances created is a hell of a lot in the game. And that goes to show you that they did create those chances and didn't put them away. Just need someone to obviously finish one of those off. And he had the best expected assists for Newcastle last week. 0.33 on that metric as well. Next best was 0.18. And then below that was 0.03. So well clear there. Anthony Gordon did have the most shots, 7. Barnes was next best with 3. 2 of his were in the box, which I like. So it's not just taking pot shots from range and racking them up that way. And he was 3rd for expected goals scored. And the other 2 ahead of him missed the big chances. He didn't get a big chance. So if he gets a big chance here, can he score it? Say Liverpool on the defensive side of it, another reason to go for a goal scorer in this market for Newcastle. Only 1 clean sheet in the last 9 league games. Conceded in all pre-season games too, as we said last week as well. Conceded multiple goals in 5 of the last 7 on the road as well. Very open through midfield. Gravenberch coming back will probably help that to a certain extent, but it doesn't help the space that's out wide and in transition. With those fullbacks both looking to bomb on high up the pitch, there should be space to exploit for the likes of Elanga on one side and my man Harvey Barnes on the other. So he's the guy I'm going for to score or assist at plus 230.
Lovely. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We'll keep everyone updated via our X feeds. That's the Wrap Betting Weekly Premier League show, Match Day 2. Get your picks in the comments section on YouTube. Live show, 9 a.m. Saturday, us three again. Is it us three again?
No. It's Norwich are at home, aren't they?
Oh, really?
So Jack will be here the following week when he throws his season ticket in the dustbin.
So is it me, you, and
young Hitman Hughes making his debut? Paul
Hitman
Hughes.
Hughes. I love
here.
it. Absolutely fantastic. Hughesy will be with us, giving us his thoughts, team news reaction, market movements, best props, and so on. Don't forget, 11 a.m. Eastern every midweek day. We've got Betting Weekly live. We're ramping up Champions League qualifiers and so on. Follow us at Because We Win. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the likes as well. We're inching towards 11,000 subscribers. From all of us for now, though, it is goodbye.